Can AI and PowerShell get you a reasonable local administrator rotation password scheme by pushing some documentation tool? Let's find out. I'm Martin White, founder of Ruffian Software. I wrote a product called Tech ID Manager that does privileged account management for managed service providers, and every now and then we'll run into somebody who says, I can do that in a PowerShell script. Okay, well, let's take one little piece of that and see if AI or ChatGPT is good enough to make something that works. All right, so what I did, got ChatGPT 4.0. I wrote this little prompt, write a PowerShell script that'll run on Windows computer and set the local password for the local administrator account to a random 16-character password. After setting the password, add the password to an ITGlue instance by using ITGlue's REST API. Real straightforward, should be able to do it, right? So let's see, here's what it gave us. Generate a random 16-character password, set the local administrator password count, post the password to ITGlue using the REST API. I just chose ITGlue here. I love ITGlue, it's great. Here's what it gave us. Generate random password, 16-character length, got a bunch of characters there that are all valuable, joins them together, returns the password. Great way to generate a random password, right? Okay, get the random password. We get the admin account, the account named administrator. We set that password to the random password we just generated. We set that info on the account. Now, we take that password. We have your ITGlue API key, organization ID. The password is just the string of what you want to set in the REST API, your asset ID. So you have to have a separate script per machine. You could probably modify this script to get the asset ID from the machine. Maybe not. You might have to make separate scripts for each one. ITGlue URL, easy enough to generate. JSON payload, easy enough to generate. You make the content type, the authorization's a bearer token for your API key. You invoke that REST API. If it succeeded, you set it successfully. If it didn't, log a message it failed. And then the new password is, and it prints out the random password. All right, so this will do what we asked. Let's go through and look at this with more specific eye toward what could go wrong. First, this random password, very viable random password. You're going to set that directly. There's no error checking. There's no retrying. I can tell you 1 in about 10 times 16 random characters from this set will get you a password that is not valid for Windows. Because at the most extreme example, all lowercase a's is a viable full random password from this set of characters. All lowercase, all capital. Lots of times you need lowercase, capital, number, and symbol. Well, you have only 8 symbols over here. If you only do it once, 1 in 10 times it's going to fail. If you don't do proper error handling from this call, it's just going to fall through and then set the password in your ITGlue instance that does not match what the actual password is on that local administrator account. Then when you fail to log in, you're just going to be told password's wrong. If your technician doesn't know what they're doing, they might lock it. Let's go to the next step and look at this. You have got to put your API key directly in plain text in this script. This is all the information you need to just totally wreck your ITGlue instance or whatever your documentation instance is, whether you use a Hulu, ITGlue, whatever custom one. If you put that API key in plain text in a script file and push it out to all of the places where you need to rotate a local administrator password, any sort of error where they are caching that, whether it gets in plain text, somewhere on that machine, if there's an error and it logs the error line and the script file is logged, that can expose your ITGlue API key. That could be a real problem. The asset ID is going to be really hard to manage because you have to have a separate script for every single machine that you run this on, or they're all going to overlap. You could probably do something to find the asset key, but then you're having to modify this. The payload looks fine, except that your password is now in plain text in the payload that you're sending up. It's not encrypted, which doesn't comply with a lot of the cybersecurity requirements and frameworks. The encryption of a password in just the S part of HTTPS does not meet the requirements of a lot of cybersecurity frameworks, which this is doing. So you're now having all those possible attacks that go with that are a problem. And then down here, pushing it, That probably works. And then the last piece here, you're actually outputting the password in plain text to whatever is logging this. So if you run this through an RMMM and then you go back to see the output of the scripts after they've run for a while, the administrator password is not only logged in ITGlue, it's logged in the output, the log file output of the RMM. Those log files are generally not very well protected. There have been several security bugs through the years where the log files for failed logins have put the password that somebody accidentally put in the username in the log file, failed login for, as the password as username, and then you can really easily correlate. But in this case, you're saying it's a local administrator password, and it just is. There are quite a few really subtle security problems with this script that if you just use AI to generate this, some technician puts in the appropriate keys, runs it on a computer, sees that it works because it's going to work 90% of the time, and then you deploy this out, you're going to have a real bad day real soon. So yes, you'll get something that mostly works, but ChatGPT and PowerShell running to do serious cybersecurity things have lots of subtle issues that you really should be worried about, and don't do it. Let the experts get involved. Buy some product that does it, such as Tech ID Manager, because that's what we do. And I just point out the really obvious things here. There are a lot of more subtle things wrong with this script that will make it fail in ways you don't quite realize. All right, have a great day. That was my little rant for the afternoon.